Camera rolling. And whenever you're ready.
Hello everyone. It's been a while, I would say, since I've checked in person in this channel, other than whether it's project related, because of course the difference between last year and this year is that we very much went to more of a project focus, you could say. And it's really been about sort of the making ofs and the trailers and also add-ons and things in the projects themselves. And that system will continue. All projects for the rest of this year will have them. But the idea is that general content's been a bit lacking. There hasn't been a lot of it. And I know that webcom was kind of the crown and jewel of it, the crown and jewel. And I do want to continue that trend and keep that thing going. But general content, it's not as prominent as it used to be in Chapter 1. The last time that I think I really spoke in with you guys, I think it was the update video in April this year. I think that's when it was anyway, before the Mighty Flame, that promo video came out. But a lot has happened since then. An awful lot has happened since then, both behind the scenes and in front of camera, that people do know. And today is the day where I get to reflect on that. Now, the title is pretty telling, and I'm recording this on the day you're seeing it. It is today the penultimate day of what we are calling the production season, which, by the way, it was meant to be 6 to 8 months maximum, which is why we got away with calling it that. We've now been in 11 months of consistent production. Voiceover work on Mickey's Movie Night began with day one, and socials have covered all of this, by the way, and we've consistently kept going for over 50 days of production. With various different people, various different pockets of talent, and we've just consistently kept it going. And in that time, we've done 2 seasons of a general podcast for the main channel. We've done loads of general videos, some more promo-based and some more information-based, but primarily 10 projects, all of them with behind-the-scenes work. Honestly, it's been a monumental achievement and a monumental ordeal for everyone involved. And we're finally approaching the end. And tomorrow, I'm going to be recording the last video. It's only a little one, but that's the plan. So it really has been quite the journey to reach this point. But in that time, I've learned a lot about myself. I've grown as a person. This season, or this second and final production season, as you would call it, before we really start doing things in a different direction, it has changed me very much. And I've learned some very hard lessons along the way and made some pretty important decisions along the way as well, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. But first, I'm going to elaborate on everything that you've got coming up. Now, today, of course, you've got, those of you on social might have already seen it. I've dropped a certain trailer, which will be following this video today, and that is for Out of Orbit. So my second album is coming out this weekend, in 2 days' time on Saturday. The music particularly, I think, is very promising. And it is definitely a level up from the first album, and I'm just very excited for people to see it, to be honest, because that has been in the can for so long. When I was naming music projects, I had the name for this second album, not even the first, the second album in December 2021. So this has been the best part of 5 years in the making, the concept of a space sophomore album, the second one. It's an idea that's been around for a very long time, and it's finally come to fruition this weekend. But following that, I'm now going to talk about everything you've got coming up. So over all the bits and bobs and stuff on Saturday, because it is my 21st coming up, so there'll be a couple of other, icing on the cake stuff as well on Saturday. But following that, here's what you can expect. Now, it's been teased for just about a year at this point, but the Matthew May Show is coming back next Friday on the 26th of September with a 5-episode sort of limited run for what was originally a season 1. Now, here's what I can say. In regards to the Matthew May Show, this will now be, this particular project, it's now going to be recontextualised as a limited series. A full-on TV format version of that original run of videos that I did in Chapter 1, except now it's going to be an outright TV show, but it is only going to be 5 episodes, and it is also going to close off the brand. This was a decision particularly, the sub-brand anyway, it was the decision that I made specifically because we're taking things in a new direction, especially with travel content, and I'll be elaborating on that down the line as things go on, I imagine. But with this in particular, we needed to wrap things up with this particular IP, if you even want to call it that. And this will be the end of it. This 5-episode run that will start next Friday and run through to the 24th of October. In the meantime, during that show's run, the second season of the podcast will start on the 10th of October with Caden Hiley's episode, following his episode on the travel show, which has been advertised on socials. But I can also now say that general podcast is definitively for the final time coming to an end, and the pre-recorded season 2 that we have already shot and mic'd up and everything, that is also going to be coming to an end. But that will run from the 10th of October through to the 12th of December. Now, on the last day of the Matthew May Show, as a lot of you may know, Being Prepared, a Scout Story will finally arrive. It's been over a year. I've been teasing that now, and it is finally going to arrive next month on the day of that finale. So it's going to be a real meaty day for the network, along with a podcast episode in there as well. So it's going to be a great day. And that will kind of see us through, obviously, with making ofs and trailers, will see us through October. Now, November, there's going to be more podcast and more behind-the-scenes stuff, but what I will say, because I do mean this in the bottom of my heart, come the 28th of November, I think we're going to have potentially our strongest project of all time. Now, music videos behind the scenes with this has not panned out and was not as promising as I would have liked, but I'm very much thinking more about quality over quantity these days, and we've ended up with a visualizer for the entire EP. It is, of course, Star of the Sea. We're going to have a visualizer instead of music videos for that EP, like a visual representation of it, rather than outright music videos that has me in camera. We got a bit of footage where you're going to see a bit of me, of original stuff that we shot for it, so such as where the same day we got the album, or the EP cover anyway. But yeah, overall, it's very much just sort of a visual adaptation of what is primarily an audio release. And that audio release, I say, is one of the finest projects I've ever made, because I really am so proud of what myself and those involved in making that music have managed to achieve with this particular release. I feel very good about it. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I think it is truly going to be kind of the height, the sort of the abrupt end of my second phase in music, because I think this is going to be, it's just going to be the album and the EP this year. But in my the fast-tracked second phase of my music career, I think it's very much going to put a stamp down. It's going to feel like the end of an era, but also the start of something new, most definitely. And I think we're going to be going on to much greener pastures from this point. It's all thanks to what I think this EP in particular is going to achieve. But going into December, those of you on socials might have realised, and those of you on the channel will be questioning things, why Green Hill Zone has not released yet. That is because it's been delayed. There's a couple of things behind the scenes that I still want to kind of get figured out and everything, and we've still got VFX work to finish on it. And we thought it was more of a low-risk project compared to the rest of them, and we just think it's fine. So it's going to have an early Advent release date now. It's just going to be quietly put out on the 5th of December. That's now where it's going to be put, and it is, yes, it will be on BWN Kids, just to throw that out there. And following on, obviously, as I've said, the podcast is going to end mid-December. And then our last project and 30th mainline one of both these chapters combined so far, we have a new title for the Harry Potter thing. It is going to be Lego Harry Potter The Special, which is, again, going to adapt the Philosopher's Stone, but we've decided to give it a different name, and that is for reasons I'm about to explain. But yeah, that's there for Boxing Day with the making of to follow that. Now, of course, there's going to be an annual soundtrack like any other, but I will say when that comes out in a release notice that was shot donkeys ago, that's going to be re-edited and sorted out and stuff, that it is going to be my last one. As far as I'm aware, in terms of annual soundtracks, it's going to be the last one where primarily I'm contributing original instrumental music to the network's proceedings of things. It's going to be my last one for that. And then moving forward, I'm hoping to get other people involved who are obviously a lot more music savvy than myself, especially when it comes to the instrumental side of what the network does with that medium. But then we get to, obviously, New Year's Eve. Now, what you might be expecting me to say right now is there's going to be, what you'd usually expect. A little nice notice thanking everybody for the year, and then an annual montage, which is still going to happen, in fairness. It is still going to happen on that day, but there is going to be another video on that day as well. And it will be BWN Chapter 2, the closing ceremony. Now, for those of you who have been on this ride from the start, such as from 2021, and have seen Chapter 1 end in a very, a delayed fashion, and it was really kind of very much a bookend at the end of 2023 following the release of Older. that was very much, it felt like a nice package. It was a great first sort of 2 full years and then an extra 4 months from 2021. And that was a great chapter. And for years now, I've been topsy-turvy on what's going to happen with the runtime of this chapter and where it's going to end. And I started at in January of 2024 saying it was going to have an updated time of 2026. It was going to end. When originally at the very start of chapter 1, I think it was, I said it would probably be sometime around 24 or 27 it was going to be. And then later I backtracked come the chapter 2 presentation in last September, and I said that it was going to be 2027 because we need an extra year to get things cooking. And then I doubled down this April and said it was going to be 2026 to kind of coincide with the end of my academic studies at university, heading fully out into adult life at 21. Now I can say it's changed again, and this time I can definitively say for the final time, it will be ending at the end of 2025, and it will be a 24 to 25 chapter, a very short one. Now, yes, we had the 6-month break in between, which is not great in 2024, but when you really think about it, Chapter 1 was 2 full years anyway, with 4 extra months tacked on. So in reality, it's about 10 months of content less than Chapter 1, but it's not the shortest thing in the world. We have still had 2 full years of content that I'd say is kind of quality, and there's really been a lot of stuff coming out, and even a hell of a lot more stuff you've still got to see between now and New Year's Eve. So really, I think now is the right time. And there is a reason for that, which is the main reason for this video today, what I'm going to be talking about now. And that is, for a while now, for a good few months, I've had everything we've been doing, I've had it registered and I've had it set up. And to those of you who don't understand what I mean by that, we are now technically a company. And when I say that, I mean we're taking things seriously. As if any of you had any doubts beforehand, it's now gone live. And it's very much a focus for me going forward. And it's not really like I'm network leader anymore, that informal title from chapter 1. I'm not even kind of the owner of a YouTube channel. I very much am feeling like a company director and someone whose responsibility it is for not just myself, but for everyone who's becoming a part of this and caring more and more by the week about it, that I make this ship float. And I go in a direction where things work, and I double down in areas where things work, and I think about it realistically. There was a passion I had, a youthful passion you could say, but also a very strong naivety I had in 2021 when I kicked this whole thing off, and it was ever present throughout chapter 1 with my work rate, and never more present than that 6-month break last year. But since I came back off the break, shortly after I came back off the break, I started on a developmental journey to really become the person I am now delivering this video to you. And I can fundamentally say that I have changed for the better in almost every capacity. And the person I'm ready to be for not just myself, but for this network is someone I never thought I potentially even could be. The journey's been long, but I'm here now. And I have made the hard call to end the chapter here because I've clearly defined in recent months where we've been in terms of content level. And I would say, despite all the ridiculousness I said about older, back in the day about being professional and everything, I would say that overall, you could argue that older is a semi-pro project, but overall, most definitely, chapter 1 was our amateur era, very much. But I would say, especially post-break, when Variety Act came out last year, and ever since until the end of this year, we've been in a semi-professional era, and I think it's the respect it deserves. We've put an awful lot of work in, and some of the things we've done have been honestly really quite special for student level, and we're very happy with how things have turned out, and we would say it is definitely semi-pro level. But I don't believe anything we've done to date as now a company director has been truly professional standard. It's about to be. And the 26 plan, you guys have no idea the amount of work we've done, because really we've been in talks about 2026 since Christmas, and we truly started development at the start of March. And the amount of changes that have happened, even before March, around January, February time, that have happened towards next year's content has been insane. The amount of changes that have been made and different directions we're going to go in, because now is the time to fail, because we won't be next year. There's no excuse for it anymore. And we're going to be very much going into pro level, barreling towards graduation. And that's how I'm treating it. I'm treating it as it's very much all or nothing to me. These things need to work in at least some capacity. If it's not financial, then another in spades. It has to. So I'm being very delicate. That's the point I'm trying to make about where things are going to go from here. And obviously, it goes without saying that I do believe the chapter structure will remain. And when I say that chapter 2 is ending this year, chapter 3 will now begin in 2026. When? I can elaborate down the line. But yeah, this is very much a big talking point for us right now, how to handle this correctly. And right now, my focus is, at least for the next few weeks at a minimum, is to make sure that the rest of chapter 2 is in a good place and end it with dignity. So we can essentially, in a way, strategically take a loss. We've got some really solid stuff coming out the rest of this year, but we're very much looking back on these previous 2 chapters fondly and moving into chapter 3 with a whole new mentality. A mentality that has been completely absent and void in these past 4 years. And by the time we reach our 5th anniversary, I truly believe we will be in a completely different place to where we are now. Other things to touch on. Again, first of all, thank you for everything so far that's come out this year that you've watched, whether that be Mickey's Movie Night or the Mountain Heights of the Lodge, which I do think is a trend with the Matthew May specials that won't continue. I think that was a one-off. I did plan to do some sequels, but I don't think that's going to continue. And also Radio Blue as well, which I do also think will be a one-off. I think we actually executed that really well come post-production, and thank you for tuning in for those of you who did. But primarily what I just want to touch on briefly is Game Central, because some of you might have noticed at this point on socials that it's been a bit messy with the announcing of the cancellation of it. To the video audience who are seeing this, I realised in the last episode that I did say that there would be a season 2, and before you'll have noticed new titles and thumbnail changes, it was very much presented as a season 1, and all the reels and everything online will still say season 1. But we thought for the continuity error or the issue that's now going to be put forward in formatting, we thought it was not worth going through the trouble of doing a lackluster season 2 simply to essentially go against the confusion of there no longer being one, and sticking purely with the season 1. So Game Central will now be classified as a limited series, and coupled in with its previous videos and previous run in chapter 1, unfortunately that sub-brand has now come to an end. There will be no more Game Central. There will be, of course, gaming content left on Blue Web Network, but it's not really going to be the centre of our operations anymore with mainline projects. Game Central is really the only project format you could really come up with to do with gaming anyway. The rest of it's going to be gameplay videos and more casual ones, and that will continue as time goes on. But overall, I would just say thank you for, again, for the 1,000th time, for those of you who've tuned in and who've bared with us till now. And I'm not going to disappoint going forward. I can't allow us to falter anymore. And I can say I've changed as a person where I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. But this isn't pressure I'm putting on myself. This is external. This is time is running out. And it's my job to get this over the finish line, of which I intend to do. And to those of you who've tuned into this point, you've seen the journey. You've seen that probably every 6 months we've gotten twice as good. It's going to continue to grow until we are at pro level, and that time is very, very soon. So bear with us, stay tuned, enjoy the next few months, and thank you again for tuning in and enjoying what it is that we're doing. I understand now. I at least have the sort of the humble nature now to admit that the group I'm talking to and have been talking to for the last 4 years is very small. The people who tune into these videos, but we can't accept it to be like that anymore. We just thank you for your loyalty to this point, but we need to expand, and rapidly. So, yeah, we're going to be taking things in a different direction. And the last note I will say before I leave you all today, because I've tried to do this in one take and I think I've achieved it, is the divisions. With the end of chapter 2, the division structure is going to change, and I would expect that all of the current divisions as they are will be no more. The properties will still happen. Everything that's ever happened on the network will still very much be canon, but we do think we're going to start new divisions representing the mediums of entertainment we've been trying to depict up till now. And that might sound confusing until I say the last point of the day, which is, as well as a new chapter, Chapter 3 will act as a soft reboot of Blue Web Network, which I feel has been a long time coming. So that means new divisions, a new outlook on content where everything's still canon and everything still exists that we've done, but there are changes. It's a 16-year-old's dream turning into a 21-year-old's dream. And rather than being a YouTube fame extravaganza that it was at 16, it's now a sophisticated, hard-working and passionate production company that has a lot of heart. And it's going to mean something. And I've always wanted it to mean something, but now it's really going to mean something at professional level, which I think a lot of you can respect. The dream from chapter 1, it was never going to get to that level, ever. It was too ambitious for someone so young, but I've got my feet on the ground now, and I'm ready to go. So thank you, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of BWN 2025. And until next time, goodbye.